At a barbecue, my brother broke my 7-year-old son's leg with a metal poker. My parents defended my brother and said, maybe he'll learn not to talk back next time. So I took them to court, and the judge gave them a consequence they never expected. Hey, Reddit. I went to a family BBQ thinking it'd be normal, and it blew up fast. My parents did what they always do, pick favorites and blame me for reacting. So I stopped playing nice. But they weren't done yet. Before we get to that, let me start from the beginning. 3 days before the BBQ, my mom Helen texted, family gathering, June 20th at 2 in the afternoon. Bring Julian, Bradley, and Nicole will be there with Connor. Time to put the past behind us. Bradley, my older brother with 2 DUIs, multiple bar fights, and a restraining order from his ex. But according to Frank and Helen, he was working on himself. I'd heard that line for 2 decades. Veronica looked up from her laptop when I showed her the text. She's a family law attorney, works at a firm that handles custody battles and protective order, sees the worst of what families do to each other. She knew my family history. You're not going, she said. Not a question. If I don't, they'll say I'm the problem, that I'm keeping Julian from his grandparents. Dom, your brother has a pattern. Frank and Helen enable him. You know this. I know. But Julian's 7. He should know his cousins, his grandparents. I can't let Bradley control whether we show up to family events. She closed her laptop. Then we go together. All 3 of us. We stay visible. We leave at the first sign of trouble. I work as an industrial safety inspector. I'm trained to spot danger. Should have trusted that training. Bradley had been living with Frank and Helen for 8 months after Nicole kicked him out. They do that cycle. Fight, separate, reconcile. Bradley and Nicole had Connor, same age as Julian, 7 years old. The cousins had played together a few times when they were younger, before Bradley's temper started making family gatherings uncomfortable. Saturday came. We loaded Julian into the car. Are we seeing Grandma and Grandpa? Julian asked from the back seat. Yeah, buddy. Is Uncle Bradley gonna be there? My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Yeah. I don't really like Uncle Bradley. He yells a lot. Veronica turned to look at him. Stay close to us today, okay? Don't go anywhere by yourself. Okay, Mom. We pulled up to Frank and Helen's house at 2:15 in the afternoon. Driveway packed with cars. Recognized my Aunt Ruth's sedan, couple of cousins' trucks, Bradley's lifted monstrosity with the aggressive bumper stickers. The backyard was crowded. Grill smoking, cooler full of drinks, kids running around. Helen spotted us first, swept Julian into a hug. Frank appeared with a plate of burgers, told Julian to go play with Connor and the other kids. Julian looked at us. Veronica nodded. He ran off toward where Connor and 2 other cousins were tossing a football. Glad you could make it, Helen said to me. Pointed toward the grill where Bradley stood with Frank. He's been doing so much better. 3 months sober now. 3 months. Like that erased 8 months of chaos before it. Bradley looked up, caught my eye. Nodded once. I nodded back. Nicole was sitting at the patio table with Helen's sister. She looked tired, stressed, the look of someone living on eggshells. First hour went fine. Talked to Aunt Ruth about her new job at the hospital. Helped Frank with the grill. Kept one eye on Julian the whole time. Then Connor took Julian's football. Not borrowed it. Took it. Julian had brought his new football, the one Veronica and I got him for his birthday. He'd been throwing it with Connor, but when Julian went to get water, Connor grabbed it and wouldn't give it back. That's mine, Julian said. I'm using it, Connor said. But it's my ball. You can use it, but I want it back. Too bad. Julian's face scrunched up, starting to cry. He was 7. Didn't have the tools yet to handle someone just taking his stuff. I was walking over when Helen intercepted. Boys will be boys, she said, laughing. They're just playing. He took Julian's ball, I said. Oh, they're cousins. They can share. He's not sharing. He's refusing to give it back. Dom, don't make a big deal out of nothing. I walked past her, stood next to Julian, looked at Connor. Give him the ball back. Connor looked at me, then at the house where Bradley had appeared on the back porch. I said give it back. Now. Connor dropped the ball. Julian picked it up, holding it against his chest. Thank you, I said to Connor. Took Julian's shoulder. Come on, buddy. Bradley was walking toward us, face already red. That look I knew from childhood. The one that meant someone had challenged him, embarrassed him, made him feel small. What's going on? Bradley's voice was tight. Nothing, I said. Kids had a disagreement. It's handled. You just made my son look weak in front of everyone. I asked him to return what he took. That's not making him look weak. He's 7 years old and you're standing over him like some tough guy. Veronica appeared next to me. Bradley, it's over. Let it go. Stay out of this. We're leaving, Veronica said to me. Good, Bradley said. Take your spoiled brat with you. I took a step toward him. Veronica's hand on my arm stopped me. Julian, she called. Let's go. Julian had inched toward the garage door, holding his ball tight against his chest. He looked overwhelmed, eyes bouncing between the adults. Veronica crouched a little. Julian, honey, go wait in the car, okay? We're leaving. He nodded, relieved, and headed into the garage. Bradley scoffed loudly. Yeah, run away, just like your dad. Frank and Helen rushed over then, stepping between us and Bradley. Enough! Helen snapped. Everyone calm down. Bradley, stop provoking. Dom, don't make this worse. Frank lifted his hands. Let's all cool off. Dom, just grab your things and go. Veronica squeezed my arm. Let's just leave. Now. We turned toward the patio table where our things were. Phones, keys, Julian's backpack, maybe 15 feet away. Just a minute, tops. Bradley was still mouthing off behind his parents, but Frank and Helen were physically holding him back, blocking him from coming at us again. We were halfway to the table when Julian screamed, the kind of scream that rips your insides out. Veronica and I sprinted toward the garage. Frank and Helen stepped aside too late. Julian was on the concrete floor, his leg bent wrong, the metal BBQ poker beside him, Bradley standing over him. He came at me with this, Bradley said, lifting the poker slightly. Little brat tried to hit me. Julian was 7 years old, 70 pounds, crying so hard he couldn't breathe. Something in me went cold, then hot, then cold again. I picked Bradley up by his shirt and slammed him into the garage wall. Heard his head hit the drywall, hit him once in the face, then again. Then I stopped, because Veronica was pulling me back, because Frank and Helen and everyone else was running toward the garage, because I could see phones out, recording the aftermath, and because Julian needed me more than I needed to keep hitting Bradley. Nobody got the actual moment, just the chaos after. Family members who did record wouldn't share footage that contradicted Bradley's story. I dropped to my knees next to Julian. Dad, he sobbed. My leg hurts so bad. I know, buddy. I'm here. Mom's calling 911. Veronica already had her phone out. 911, what's your emergency? My son, he's 7. His leg is broken. We need an ambulance. The ambulance showed up 6 minutes later. Felt like 6 hours. Bradley was sitting against the wall. Nicole kneeling next to him. Blood on his lip. Helen was crying. Frank was pacing. What happened? One of the EMTs asked. My brother hit my son with that metal poker, I said, pointing. Broke his leg. That's not true, Bradley said. Blood running down his chin. Kid came at me. I defended myself. Then he attacked me. Frank stepped forward. Julian disrespected Connor. He wanted his own ball back, I said. Helen's voice. Then he deserved what happened. The EMTs looked at her. Veronica stared. Everything stopped. What did you say? I asked. Helen went pale. I didn't mean... You said my son deserved a broken leg. The EMT looked at Julian, looked at Bradley, looked at the poker. Started working on Julian, talking to him in calm voices. Police car pulled up. 2 officers. One approached me. Sir, can you tell me what happened? My brother attacked my son with that poker. Broke his leg. Then I got between them. You pulled him off, the officer repeated, writing in his notebook. Yes. Did you strike him? Veronica stepped forward. Officer, our son was just assaulted. He needs to go to the hospital. We'll answer questions later. Ma'am, I need to get basic information now. Bradley was talking to the other officer, pointing at me, gesturing. They loaded Julian into the ambulance. Veronica climbed in with him. I'll meet you there, I said. The first officer came back over. Mr. Parker, we're going to need you to come to the station and give a statement. My son's going to the hospital. I understand, but there are conflicting accounts here and we need to sort it out. Frank appeared next to the officer. Officer, this is all a misunderstanding. Family disagreement. No need to make this official. The officer ignored him. Mr. Parker, did you strike Bradley Parker? After I found my son on the ground with a broken leg, yes, I hit him twice. And where is Bradley Parker now? In the garage. The officer walked over to Bradley, talked to him for a few minutes. Bradley pointed at his face, at his head, made a big show of looking hurt. The second officer was taking his statement separately, photographing his injuries. Then the first officer came back. Mr. Parker, Bradley Parker wants to file assault charges. You're under arrest. Everything stopped. What? Turn around, place your hands behind your back. My son is in an ambulance. Sir, turn around. Veronica's voice came from the ambulance. Dom, don't resist. We'll handle this. I turned around, felt the cuffs click onto my wrists. The officer started reading me my rights while my 7-year-old son was being loaded into an ambulance 50 feet away. Julian was crying, reaching for me. Dad! It's okay, buddy, I called. Mom's with you. I'll be there soon. The ambulance doors closed, pulled away, sirens starting. They put me in the back of the police car. Through the window, I could see Frank and Helen standing with Bradley. Helen crying for him, not Julian. Frank's arm around his shoulders. At the station, they processed me. Fingerprints, photos, interrogation room. I told Detective Morris the truth. Heard Julian scream, found him on concrete with his leg broken, Bradley standing over him with the poker. I admitted hitting him twice. Bradley claimed self-defense. The detective chose the cleanest charge, mine. Visible injuries on Bradley, and I'd admitted striking him. By midnight, Veronica and James had me out on bail. $2,500. We drove straight to the hospital. Julian was out of surgery. How is he? I asked. Broken tibia. They inserted a metal pin to stabilize it. He'll be in a cast for months. And emotionally? Her face said everything. He asked why you hit Uncle Bradley. He saw you get arrested. I sat down in the waiting room chair, put my head in my hands. Veronica, I should have just grabbed him and left. You defended our son. That's what fathers do. Now I'm arrested and Bradley's the victim. Not for long. She pulled out her phone, showed me an evidence folder. Photos of the poker, texts, hospital records. I've been documenting, and I called James Whitmore, criminal defense attorney. He'll represent you. Why can't you? Ethics violation. I'm your wife. Plus, I'm handling custody. James is the specialist. Tomorrow, she said, we start building our case. But tonight, we need to see Julian. We went upstairs. Julian was asleep, small in the hospital bed, leg in a cast from hip to ankle. A nurse came in to check vitals. Older woman, kind eyes. She looked at us, then closed the door behind her. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. Your family has been calling, asking questions about the child's injuries, whether there was a domestic dispute, whether the father was involved. They're trying to build a narrative. Veronica's expression hardened. What did you tell them? Nothing. Patient privacy. But I wanted you to know they're working the system. I've documented all the calls in the file. Hospital security has already flagged them after they tried to come up here twice. Thank you, I said. Protect your son. That's all that matters. She left. Veronica immediately added a note to her evidence file. Veronica's phone buzzed. Text from Helen. Where are you? We need to talk about what happened. Bradley's hurt. You can't keep us from seeing Julian. Then one from Frank. Dom, you need to drop the charges against Bradley. He was defending himself. This is getting out of hand. I took Veronica's phone, typed, Bradley broke our son's leg. There are no charges to drop. Stay away from us. Sent it. 3 seconds later, my phone rang. Frank. I declined. Called again. Declined. Text. We're coming to the hospital. Veronica walked to the nurse's station. Came back 5 minutes later. Security is flagged. Frank and Helen Parker are not allowed up here. If they show up, security will remove them. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. She was right. Frank and Helen tried to access Julian at the hospital twice that night. Security escorted them out both times, issued a formal trespass warning. Monday morning, 7 in the morning, Child Protective Services called. Woke me up from maybe 2 hours of sleep. Caseworker named Maria Santos. Mr. Parker, I need to schedule a home visit and interview with you and your wife. Why? We received a report concerning Julian's welfare. My stomach dropped. From who? I can't disclose that information, but there are concerns about domestic violence in the home and the child's exposure to violence. My blood went cold. Domestic violence? The report indicates you engaged in physical violence in front of your child at a family gathering, that you have a history of anger issues, that there are concerns about the child's safety in your care. Anger issue, history. They were building a profile of me as the danger. My brother broke my son's leg with a metal poker. I was defending him. That's being investigated separately. Right now, I need to assess this household and determine whether Julian is at risk. Bradley had filed a counter report, playing the victim, making me the aggressor, and CPS had to investigate. Standard procedure. When do you need to come? Today, 2 in the afternoon. If you're not available, I can come with police escort and conduct an emergency removal assessment. Removal. They could take Julian. We'll be here. 2 in the afternoon. I called Veronica. She called James. By 1 in the afternoon, we were waiting with a lawyer. Maria Santos showed up, walked through our apartment, then sat with Julian alone. Do you feel safe at home? Yes. Has your dad ever hurt you? No. He protects me. What happened at the BBQ? Uncle Bradley hit me with the metal stick. My leg hurt really bad. Then Dad hit Uncle Bradley. Did that scare you? Long pause. A little. But Uncle Bradley hurt me first. Maria came back. Julian reports feeling safe. However, there are concerns about impulsive violence. Mr. Parker, you struck your brother in front of your son. After my brother broke my son's leg. James leaned forward. Ms. Santos, you have medical records showing a child with a broken leg. You have Mr. Parker protecting his child from an ongoing threat. I have a child who witnessed his father engaged in violence. Maria made notes. I'm recommending a safety plan. Mr. Parker, you'll attend anger management classes. We'll schedule follow-up visits. They left. James sat back. They're building a case that you're unstable. Bradley filed first, framed himself as victim. Now CPS is flagging you. What do I do? Cooperate. Attend the classes. Build our defense around what Bradley did. That afternoon, my boss called. HR had heard about the assault charge. They put me on administrative leave until it was resolved. No income until the criminal matter settled. Veronica came in. We'll manage. I'm pulling double shifts at the firm. James is giving us a reduced rate. We'll figure it out. That night, Helen posted on social media. Photo of Bradley with a black eye and split lip. Caption: please pray for our son. He was attacked by a family member at a gathering. Trying to heal and forgive. Comments poured in. So sorry this happened. Praying for you. Family can be so toxic. Not one mention of Julian in the hospital with a broken leg. Tuesday, Veronica filed emergency protective orders against Bradley for Julian and against Frank and Helen for contact violation. Two-part case, she explained. Protective orders for harassment, then we deny any visitation petition in family court. Wednesday, Bradley filed a counter motion, claiming I was the aggressor, that he needed protection from me. Thursday, the preliminary hearing. Judge looked at both motions, looked at the medical records, looked at the police reports. I'm granting the protective order for the child against Bradley Parker. Pending criminal investigation, no contact. Mr. Bradley Parker's motion for protection against Dominic Parker is denied. However, both parties are to have no contact pending resolution of criminal charges. One small win. Saturday, a package arrived, addressed to our apartment, for Connor. They'd sent the get well basket to the wrong grandson, ordered it online, and used our address because it was the only one they had, then wrote Connor's name on the card anyway. Candy, coloring books, stuffed animal. Card said, "Hope you feel better soon, Connor. We know this has been hard on you. Love, Grandma and Grandpa." They couldn't even get the name right. Julian with the broken leg in a cast, and they wrote Connor's name. I took photos, sent them to Veronica. Pattern of favoritism, documented. Monday morning, Julian went back to school. Veronica had filed paperwork. Emergency contacts updated. Frank and Helen removed. Pickup authorization list changed. Password system implemented. By noon, the school called. "Mrs. Parker, your mother-in-law just tried to pick up Julian." "What?" "She said there was a family emergency. We asked for the password. She didn't have it. We denied pickup and she became agitated. We had to ask her to leave." "Is Julian okay?" "He's fine." "But he saw her through the window." "He's pretty shaken up." Veronica called me immediately. I was already in the car, heading to the school. By the time I got there, Helen was gone. But the principal had security footage. Helen at the office window demanding Julian, getting louder when they asked for the password, pointing toward the classroom. "Mr. Parker," the principal said, "we take safety very seriously. I've noted the attempted unauthorized pickup in Julian's file. If it happens again, we'll contact police." "Thank you." Walking back to my car, I saw Helen's sedan in the far corner of the parking lot. She was sitting there, watching, probably waiting to see if I'd confront her, give her something to use against me. I got in my car, didn't look her direction, drove away, called the principal from the road. "Helen Parker is still in your parking lot. If she approaches the building again, call police immediately." "Understood, Mr. Parker." She left 5 minutes later. School called to confirm. That night, Frank called, left a voicemail. "Dom, you've gone too far. Helen just wanted to see her grandson. You're using him as a weapon. This is cruel. We raised you better than this." Saved it. Sent it to James and Veronica. Wednesday, I attended my first anger management class. Court-mandated, part of the CPS safety plan. Sat in a circle with 8 other people. Domestic abusers, bar fighters, road ragers, and me, a father who defended his son. The instructor asked us to introduce ourselves and explain why we were there. "I'm Dom. I hit my brother after he broke my son's leg. Do you regret hitting him?" I thought about it. Honest answer. No. I regret not taking my son and leaving before it got to that point, but I don't regret defending him. The instructor made a note. Wrong answer, apparently. But I showed up, did the worksheets, participated. Because Julian's safety depended on me checking the boxes CPS needed checked. That night, Julian woke up screaming. Nightmare. I ran to his room. "Dad! I'm here, buddy. You're safe." He was crying, shaking. "Are the police coming for you again?" My heart stopped. "No, buddy. That was a mistake. I'm not going anywhere. They took you away. In handcuffs." "I know. I'm sorry you saw that. But I'm here now. I'm not leaving." He clung to me. Took 20 minutes before he calmed down enough to sleep again. Veronica was standing in the doorway. "CPS needs to know about this. They'll say he's afraid of me, that I'm the problem." "Not if we frame it correctly. He's afraid of police separation, not of you. James can help us document the distinction." She was right. We called James the next morning. He drafted a supplemental report for Maria, showing Julian's fear was specifically about police taking me away again, not about violence in the home. Maria reviewed it during her next visit, initially skeptical. The child expressed fear when asked about his father. James walked her through it. Fear of losing his father to arrest, not fear of his father. The trauma is from the separation, not the parent. Maria made notes, adjusted her assessment. I'll note that in my updated report. Small win, but it mattered. 2 weeks later, Aunt Ruth called. My mom's sister, the quiet one who usually stayed out of drama. Dom, I need to talk to you about what I saw at the BBQ. Okay. I was standing near the garage. I saw Bradley follow Julian inside. I heard Bradley yelling, then Julian screaming. I didn't see the actual moment he hit him, but I saw Bradley standing over him with that poker in his hand, and I saw your son on the ground. Ruth, would you be willing to give a statement? Yes, because Helen and Frank are lying. They're telling everyone Julian attacked Bradley. That's not what happened. I was there. She met with James that afternoon, gave a full statement, signed an affidavit, one solid witness. Veronica filed a records request for police body cam footage, filed through criminal discovery. 6 days later, we had it. We watched it together. The footage showed officers arriving at the scene, Bradley sitting against the garage wall, talking to them, Frank standing nearby, and then, clear as day, Frank leaning in and saying, just tell them the kid came at you, that you were defending yourself. Stay consistent. Bradley nodding. The kid attacked me. I was protecting myself. Frank, right. And Dom attacked you without provocation. Just stick to that. Coaching him. On camera. With audio. Veronica stopped the video. That's our smoking gun. Will it hold up? Absolutely. It shows consciousness of guilt, coordination, false reporting. She sent it to James immediately. He filed a motion to introduce it as evidence in the criminal case. The DA's office called the next morning. Mr. Whitmore, we've reviewed the footage. We're amending the charges. Bradley Parker is being charged with felony child assault. Frank Parker is being investigated for interfering with an investigation. And my client? Charges reduced to simple assault, likely dismissed given the circumstances. We'll recommend pretrial diversion if he agrees to complete the anger management program, which he's already attending. James called me. Dom, you're basically clear. The DA sees what actually happened. Bradley's going down. And Frank? He'll likely take a plea deal. Probation, community service. Enough to establish that he actively obstructed. That afternoon, Nicole called Veronica. Can I come over? I need to talk. I can't go to Frank and Helen's. I need somewhere safe. Veronica called me immediately. Nicole wants to come here, with Connor. Why? She didn't say, but she sounded scared. Tell her yes. Nicole showed up at 8 at night. Connor asleep in her arms, duffel bag over her shoulder. He hit me, she said, standing on our porch, shaking. Bradley came home after the charges were announced, started screaming about how everyone betrayed him, grabbed my arm, shoved me into the wall. Connor saw everything. Come inside, Veronica said. We got Connor settled on the couch. Nicole sat at the kitchen table, crying. I should have left years ago. I kept thinking he'd change, but tonight, seeing him like that, I realized Julian could have been Connor. If Connor had been the one in that garage, Bradley would have hurt his own son. Nicole, Veronica said carefully, have you thought about filing for an emergency protective order? Yes, but I don't know how. I don't have money for a lawyer. Frank and Helen will fight me. I can help you. Pro bono. We'll file tomorrow morning. Emergency custody, emergency protective order. You and Connor will be safe. Nicole nodded. Thank you. I have recordings. He rants when he's drinking. I recorded him admitting he hit Julian on purpose, that he wanted to teach him a lesson. Some of it was him talking to me while drunk. Some was muttering in his sleep. Veronica's eyes went wide. You have proof? On my phone. I was keeping it in case he hurt Connor. Send it to me. James confirmed it was admissible. One-party consent. Nicole had been part of the actual conversations. That recording changed everything. By morning, Nicole had filed an emergency protective order. Judge granted it immediately. Bradley was ordered to stay 500 feet away from Nicole and Connor. By afternoon, Bradley violated it. Showed up at Nicole's sister's house where Nicole had gone to pick up some clothes. Sister called police. Bradley arrested on the spot. By evening, Nicole had been granted temporary sole custody of Connor. Bradley was allowed supervised visitation only, pending the criminal trial. James filed the recordings with the DA. Bradley's admission that he wanted to teach Julian a lesson, that he wasn't going to let some 7-year-old punk disrespect Connor. The DA called it damning evidence of premeditation and intent. Bradley's lawyer tried to suppress it. Judge denied the motion. Frank and Helen started calling Nicole. Dozens of times. Texts pouring in. You're destroying our son. Come back home. We'll protect you. Connor needs his father. You're making a huge mistake. Nicole forwarded every message. Then Helen showed up at Nicole's new apartment, somehow found the address, demanded to see Connor. Nicole called police. Helen was escorted off the property, trespass warning issued. 3 weeks later, the court-appointed guardian ad litem filed her report. She'd interviewed both households, reviewed all evidence, talked to Connor. Her recommendation? Sole custody to Nicole, supervised visitation only for Bradley through an approved center, and no contact between Connor and Frank or Helen until they complete family counseling and demonstrate accountability. The judge adopted the recommendation in full. Bradley was isolated. Nicole had Connor. Frank and Helen had lost access to both grandchildren. We filed for a protective order blocking Frank and Helen from contact with Julian. Veronica's colleague Rebecca Hollis handled the case. Evidence: CPS report, body cam footage, harassment documentation, Nicole's testimony, Aunt Ruth's statement. Our hearing was set for 6 weeks out. Then Brennan filed for a continuance. Pushed it another month. Court backlog added more delays. What should have taken weeks stretched into months. In the meantime, Bradley's criminal trial moved forward. He took a plea deal. Felony child assault, 18 months in jail, 3 years probation, anger management, no contact with minors for 5 years. Frank took a deal too. Interfering with investigation, probation, community service. Helen wasn't charged. Not enough evidence of active participation. But her enabling was documented in every file. 3 weeks before our hearing, Bradley went to his first supervised visitation with Connor. Lasted 15 minutes before staff ended it. Bradley kept asking Connor questions about what really happened at the BBQ, trying to coach him, pressuring him to say Julian started it. Staff filed a report, recommended suspension of visitation pending psychological evaluation. Bradley's lawyer argued parental alienation. Judge shut it down immediately. Mr. Parker, you were convicted of assaulting a child. You're on probation. Your attempts to manipulate your son during supervised visitation show continued poor judgment. Visitation is suspended pending further evaluation. Bradley walked out of court screaming at the judge. Bailiff threatened him with contempt. He left. 2 weeks before our hearing, we got an anonymous threat. Text message to Veronica's phone from a burner number. Drop the case or your family will regret it. We know where Julian goes to school. Meadowbrook Elementary, room 107. We know your address. 1800 Oak Street, apartment 3B. This isn't over. Specific details. Julian's exact classroom number. Our apartment number. Information only family would know. Veronica reported it immediately. Police traced the number to a phone purchased at a convenience store 3 blocks from Frank and Helen's house. Paid cash, no surveillance footage showing who bought it. But the location and the message content containing family-only details created a clear connection. James filed an emergency motion. Judge issued a temporary restraining order prohibiting any member of the extended family from approaching within 1,000 feet of us or Julian's school. This escalation demonstrates exactly why termination is necessary, Rebecca argued in the motion. The family has moved from harassment to explicit threats containing private information. That night, Veronica and I had the conversation I'd been avoiding. We need to leave, she said. What? Not forever, but until this settles. My firm has an office in Portland. They've offered me a transfer. Smaller role for now, but stable. You can look for inspection work there. Julian can start fresh. You want to run? I want to protect our son. They know his classroom number. They know our apartment number. They've proven they'll cross any line. Dom, this isn't running. This is being tactical. She was right. I knew she was right. After the hearing, I said. After we get the court order. Then we move. Agreed. The courthouse was packed. Our side of the room. Me, Veronica, James, Rebecca Hollis, Nicole, Aunt Ruth. Their side, Frank, Helen, their attorney Michael Brennan, and 3 family members as character witnesses. Judge Rebecca Hoffman entered, mid-50s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. This is a petition for protective order and denial of grandparents' visitation rights. Petitioners are Dominic and Veronica Parker, parents of minor child Julian Parker, age 7. Respondents are Frank and Helen Parker, paternal grandparents. She looked at both sides. Grandparents are seeking visitation rights. Petitioners oppose and request permanent no-contact order. This is an extraordinary request. The court does not grant such orders lightly. Mr. Brennan, present your case. Brennan stood. Expensive suit. Confident. Your Honor, my clients are loving grandparents who have been shut out of their grandson's life due to one unfortunate incident. They've been active in Julian's life since birth. They've provided support, love, and stability. He pulled out photos. Birthdays, Christmas, Julian with Frank and Helen at various ages. These photos show years of bonding. One incident should not erase that history. Judge Hoffman looked at the photos. What about the body cam footage showing Mr. Frank Parker coaching his son to lie to police about assaulting a child? Brennan cleared his throat. That was a moment of poor judgment during a chaotic situation. My client has since acknowledged his mistake. Has he? Rebecca stood. Because I have text messages from 2 weeks ago where Frank Parker told his daughter-in-law Nicole that Bradley was set up and that the system is protecting the wrong people. That doesn't sound like acknowledgement. Judge Hoffman made a note. Continue, Mr. Brennan. Brennan called Frank to the stand. Frank described his love for Julian, his regret. Rebecca didn't waste time. She walked Frank through the body cam footage showing him coaching Bradley, the texts blaming Julian, the bail money for Bradley. Each answer Frank gave dug deeper. I was trying to protect my family. I believed my son. I was trying to support him. At the expense of your grandson's safety, Rebecca finished. Frank looked angry and defensive. Helen cried through her testimony, talked about loving Julian, missing him. Rebecca documented the pattern. The texts that centered Bradley, not Julian. The care package sent to Connor instead of Julian. The attempted school pickup. Each time asked the simplest question, why protect him? Helen's answer was always the same. He's our son. Veronica took the stand next, walked through the documentation. Medical records, police reports, CPS findings, harassment attempts, the school incident, the anonymous threat with specific details. Mrs. Parker, Judge Hoffman asked, what specific harm do you believe continued contact would cause? Julian has PTSD from the assault. He's in therapy. He has nightmares. Frank and Helen have shown repeatedly that they prioritize Bradley over Julian's safety. Julian cannot feel safe around people who defended his attacker. Nicole testified next, described Bradley's history, Frank and Helen's enabling. They bailed him out multiple times, never held him accountable. Aunt Ruth was final. I saw Bradley follow Julian into that garage, heard him yelling, heard Julian scream, saw Bradley standing over him with that poker. Judge Hoffman recessed, then ruled. I've reviewed all evidence. Testimony, medical records, body cam footage, harassment documentation. She looked at Frank and Helen. The evidence shows a clear pattern. 7-year-old Julian Parker was assaulted. Medical evidence is consistent with a forceful blow from a hard object, inconsistent with a fall or the self-defense account. Bradley Parker continued living with Frank and Helen during investigation. They posted bail, hired his attorney, defended him publicly. They sent care packages to the perpetrator's child, not the victim. Harassment escalated to school access attempts and anonymous threats containing family-only information. She looked at us. This court finds Frank and Helen Parker prioritized their adult son over their grandson's safety. The petition is granted. Visitation denied. Protective order issued. I felt Veronica grab my hand. Effective immediately, Frank and Helen Parker are prohibited from contact with Julian Parker. This includes in-person, telephone, electronic, written, or third-party contact. Violation will result in contempt charges and possible arrest. Your Honor, Frank stood. Please, he's our grandson. Mr. Parker, sit down. You can't, I can, and I have. The order is final. Brennan pulled Frank back into his seat. This ruling may be reviewed in 2 years if respondents demonstrate sustained separation from Bradley Parker, completion of family counseling focused on accountability and protective behaviors, and evidence of changed circumstances. Until then, this order stands. Gavel down. Rebecca leaned over. Complete denial of access. Permanent no contact. It's rare. You won. We walked out. Frank and Helen were still in the courtroom. Helen was crying into her hands. Frank was staring at us. Outside, Veronica pulled me aside. We did it. Julian's safe now. For now, I said. But we still need to move. I know. The move happened fast. Veronica's firm processed her transfer in 10 days. I found an industrial safety position in Portland. Julian's school records were transferred under seal. Confidential address flag added. New district lockdown with password system. Emergency contacts updated with explicit no access list. We sold furniture, packed what mattered, loaded the truck Friday night. Saturday morning, 6 in the morning, we were on the road. Left my phone number active for 2 weeks. Then changed it. New numbers for all of us. Mail forwarding through James's office. Nicole and Connor moved too. Different city, different state. Bradley served 14 months of his 18-month sentence. Got out early for good behavior. Last I heard, he's in a halfway house, working part-time, supervised probation for 2 more years. Frank and Helen tried to contact us twice in the first year. First time, a letter forwarded through James's office. Second time, showing up at Veronica's old firm demanding our new address. Security removed them. James filed contempt motions both times. Judge issued warnings. Third violation would mean jail time. They stopped after that. Julian's doing better. Took about 8 months to stop having nightmares regularly. He still startles at loud noises sometimes. Still gets nervous around new adult men. But he's playing soccer again. has friends, laughs more than he cries. His leg healed. Barely visible scar now. Veronica made partner at her new firm last year. I'm running a regional inspection team. We bought a house. Small, fenced backyard. Julian plays football out there. 2 years after the ruling, we got a letter from Helen. Handwritten. Dominic and Veronica, I was wrong. About everything. About defending Bradley. About blaming Julian. About not protecting him. I've been in counseling trying to understand how I failed. Frank and I are separated. I couldn't stay with someone who refused to acknowledge what we'd done. He still talks to Bradley. Still believes he was the victim. I don't. I see it now. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking to see Julian. I just need you to know. I understand. And I'm sorry. If Julian ever wants to know about his family history or has questions, I'll be here. But I understand if that never happens. I read it. Put it in a folder with other legal documents. Maybe someday I'll show Julian. Today, Julian's at soccer practice. Veronica's at the office. I'm on the back porch. New phone number, unlisted address, family with no way to find us. Julian is safe. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.